Representative Dush.
I'll be very brief, Chairman. The page 83 on the report, we identified about going straight to ACT or SAT and the results. I'm just curious, how would you go about implementing something like that, where we go to just going to the evaluations based on the ACTs, the SATs, and possibly throwing in NOCTI and ASVABs to get more of the career side of it?
Sure. Can I repeat back the question, just make sure I understood? So are you asking what we would have to consider, or what would be the process to transition from something we have now, like the Keystone exams,
Absolutely.
into like the 5 states that are doing the ACT, or there are 10 states that are using SAT? What would that mean for Pennsylvania?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, really, really pertinent question. And that's one that comes up, and you'll see in the report that's some of the survey responses around that. So the department would remain open to collaborating with lawmakers and exploring what that would look like in Pennsylvania. We can look at what other states have experienced in the process. And as I mentioned, there are about 15 states right now that are in some part of using the ACT or the SAT for as the statewide assessment. So in our case, we'd be replacing the Keystones. The states that have done that have had to walk through a peer review process that is actually federally required. And they have to ensure that using an SAT or an ACT, which was designed to be a college readiness exam, not necessarily to test your state standards, the feds require you to use a test that tests your state standards. And so one of the first things we would have to do is an alignment study to determine what that match looks like, because we have to cover the words in the law are the depth and breadth of your state standards. So we have state standards from 2012. They have to be covered on tests. That's the first piece. And then the second piece we would have to do in that process, and I'm going to oversimplify, is to ensure that we also have the appropriate accommodations in place. So, for example, students with IEPs need to have certain accommodations in their tests so that they have the full level of access. It's not clear and entirely clear yet how well ACT and SAT is going to handling that piece. So there are states like Florida that started to move down this road and then stopped because they couldn't get all of that in place, and then there are other states that continue to push forward. So we would have to explore all that. The final thing I would say is whatever we would do, we want to be really clear to communicate well to the field and give sufficient timelines, because districts have obviously aligned a lot of their teaching, learning, and resources to our current system, and we want to be careful not to cause an unfunded mandate to our schools. But that's sort of a high level of what we'd have to approach.